Welcome back everyone to Level Up Firearms LLC. I'm your host, Joseph, the owner of Level Up Firearms. I'm a private firearms instructor here in Colorado, northern Colorado, and I'm going to be going over the takedown and cleaning of a Sig P365, so a 6-hour P365. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our firearm and we are going to drop the magazine. We're going to push the magazine release here, empty magazine. We're going to set it aside and we're going to check the chamber, make sure it's clear, point in the safe direction, and we are clear. And lock it open. We can even check if you want to check. And now we're going to take this firearm down. So we have a takedown lever here. We are simply going to pull that lever down, disengage the slide lock or slide release, and we are going to pull the slide off. So now we have our frame. We're going to set it aside. We're going to take our recoil spring right there and our barrel. So there you go, pretty simple, pretty easy. Now what I like to do is I like to take a cleaner. Lately I've been using, we have shooter lube. It's a solvent to break down the lead and gunpowder residue, etc. So what we're gonna do, we have our pieces, we gotta start somewhere, and it helps to let things sit a little bit. So we are going to take the jag here. These bristles will not hurt the bore or inside of your barrel, so if you go forward or backwards, it will be just fine. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. Okay, we're going to run it through a few times, just break loose some of that extra lead and fouling that's in there. I'm going to take that off. Put on a jag here, and we are going to spray with our solvent, a patch, and we're going to push this through. I haven't cleaned this in a little bit. I let my students shoot it quite often, and it went right off the table. That's okay. We'll just do another one. There we go. Okay, so it's a little dirty, not bad. Now I'm going to let that soak in there. I'm going to take whatever is left over, solvent, wipe all this down. We're going to let it soak and just kind of sit and break that down while we go along. Next, we want to look at the slide here. And I'm looking in here and I can see it's a little bit dirty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this toothbrush that I bought and I'm going to spray it. I'm going to start scrubbing and getting down in there. One of the things I want to do is I want to make sure I get in these grooves here, these channels right here. This is where your rails, right there on your frame, where they connect and help your slide to stay on track and slide back and forth. So we're gonna get in there, scrub it down, work that gunpowder and everything. Okay, looks pretty good. You can see it's a little bit dirty, right? So we're gonna set that aside. Now we're gonna clean up our rails. So again, I'm going to spray a bit here on my toothbrush, and I'm going to rub this down. Over time, when you shoot your firearm, you start to see wear points. That is where you're having friction and contact, and that's where you're going to want to have extra lubricant so that everything is working properly. So I'm just going to wipe this down because this is not actually that dirty. Normally, we just clean through everything and then start back to the barrel and work our way through, but I'm just going to wipe through this. Nice and easy, not that bad. Maybe take a Q-tip down there. Cool. And everything else looks just fine. Alright, great. I'm going to set that aside. Recoil spring does not look dirty really at all. Yep, nope, that's fine. So now we're at this point where we need to start taking off the solvents on this guy and on this guy and start lubricating everything and putting everything back together. So we'll start here and we're just going to wipe this down. There we go. Then we're going to run a dry patch through here to get that any leftover solvents out. And that's pretty darn good. So now what we're going to do is I'll take the lubricant and protectant here, and I'll actually do a ring right on the inside. If you want, you can also take a patch and you can just put some all along there. That's totally fine. We are going to push this patch through. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do it again. You can flip the patch over if you want, but it's really clean, so I'm not going to worry about it. So it's a little dirty right there. If it was super dirty, I would have flipped it over and used both sides, but that looks pretty good. So there's still some leftover oils on this. You can just rub down your barrel if you want, or you can put a few drops and rub it on. You can also take a different toothbrush and you can put some oils on there, and you can get all the oils everywhere it needs to be. So a nice thin coating, just like that. Now we're going to take our slide and we need to wipe it clean. So I'm going to just take this cloth here, start wiping it out, get all the solvent out. Take a Q-tip here, wipe it down the rails here. Okay, that looks great. So now we're going to fill this with solvents. One of the things I like to do is I will take my lubricant. If I said solvent earlier, I meant lubricant. We're going to wipe down the rails, and you can actually see right in there, you can see the shine, you can see the wear points. So that's one place where we're definitely going to want to put some lubricant and some protectant, help protect against rust, etc. You can even put some on your brush and just rub it right in. There you go. Nice thin layer. Everything looks great. Perfect. We're going to set that aside. This still has some lubricant on it, so I'm going to just hold on to that tightly as I brush that in. And now some people use a gun grease or they'll use an oil, it just depends. I'll use both sometimes or just singular, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil right here. Not much, just a bit. I can see some wearing contact points, and that looks great. So everything is lubricated, everything's cleaned, and now we're gonna put everything back together. I see a spot I missed, there we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our barrel. Notice it has a flat side and a side that is not flat, right? So we're going to stick the flat side down and place it in. The flat side will line up with the top of your slide right there. Then we're going to take our recoil spring and we are going to set it inside, and this should be able to pull down and drop in place. So just like that, it pops out, you pull back and it drops in place. And now what we're going to do is we are going to match these grooves with your slide rails right here from the back. I go right in. There we go. Use the slide stop, slide release, and this actually flicked on its own. Normally you would just flick it forward. Now we're going to drop the slide. We're going to pull the trigger, okay, and that released the firing pin. I heard it. And now we're going to hold the trigger back, and we are going to cycle the slide and wait for the trigger reset. If you can listen, right there. And then fire again, locks open, drops, there you go. That is how you clean it. Feel free to watch this again. Any of my students or anyone else that comes across this video, you can ignore the tape there. That's just cover my serial number. As you can see, I added some grip tape to slick portions. It's a little pro tip if you ever want to go that route, so it's a little bit tackier in your hand. And that's it. I hope you guys have a great day.